Welcome to Smart to Fish Wild, a podcast where a passion for the outdoors meets the strategy of building a meaningful, well-designed life. I'm Mark Candler, fly fishing loyalist, outdoorsman, Colorado native, and wealth advisor. And each week I get to sit down with some phenomenal people who are turning their passion into purpose and designing lives that really leaves room for what matters the most. Today I'm joined by Jim Klug, the founder, the owner, the CEO of Yellow Dog, the world's largest fly fishing destination company. I believe they work with 220 plus lodges in 40 plus countries. And it's just an absolute honor to have a conversation. And today we're going to talk a lot about his beginning, his passion, his inspiration to start Yellow Dog, where he sees Yellow Dog going, and we'll see where it goes. So sit back, enjoy the conversation, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future issues of Smart to Fish Wild. So, Jim, if you don't mind my asking, just kind of wanted to start from the very beginning. When and how did you first learn to fly fish?
Well, thanks, Mark. Appreciate you having me on the program. You know, it's always been kind of a lifetime thing for me. I grew up in Central Oregon, and as a young kid, was surrounded by fishing. Had great mentors and role models, and people that went out of their way to get me out on the water and really teach me the sport. I felt kind of a strong pull, not just towards fishing, but the outdoors and certainly the places that fishing takes you from a very young age. And I was very fortunate to grow up with that in my life. And at a fairly young age, during my time in college and in the years after college, kind of decided that I wanted to prioritize that and make that my living, and went down that path of working in the fly fishing industry from my teenage years. And that's led to all sorts of different opportunities, different roles within the industry, a lot of years of guiding throughout the U.S. West, and eventually to founding Yellow Dog about a little over 26 years ago.
So what was the inspiration to found Yellow Dog?
I think for me, it came about at a time when I was spending, a lot of time in really kind of unusual remote places. When I first began thinking of the company and actually kind of formally jumped into it and started Yellow Dog as a business, at the time I was kind of living down in Belize, the country of Belize, spending a lot of time down there. Felt a very strong pull towards the saltwater. And I didn't really kind of set out in those early years to say, hey, I'm going to jump into the destination booking and agent game. It was more of just at the time, spending so much time down there, getting a lot of calls and outrage from people that were looking for information, saying, hey, I understand you know Belize. I'm looking for the right guide, or I'm thinking about heading down there with some buddies or my family. Where should I stay? Who should I fish with? What's the best time of year to go? And it just kind of took on a life of its own. I found myself talking about it fairly often, and at some point, a good buddy of mine, Logan Gentry was his name. At the time, he had just bought a well-known, well-established lodge called the El Pescador Lodge. He and I were sitting around one afternoon down at the lodge, and he said, you really ought to think about jumping into this full time, make it official. Think about starting a booking company that can help connect anglers with the great places that fly fishing can take you. And initially I was like, no, there's too many people, trying to do this. There were some very big players at the time. It seemed like kind of a crowded space. So I think initially I probably dismissed that idea, but the more I started thinking about it, the more I started looking into it, I saw some opportunity to create something in the form of a booking service and a booking company that really didn't exist. Ways to infuse more of kind of personalized customer service, information support, in with access to some of these incredible places that are connected to fly fishing. The more I started thinking about it, the more I started looking into it, I realized there was an opportunity there. The company started small, more than 25 years ago. In the beginning, it was literally a one-man, one-dog operation. And at the get-go, all we did was book Belize. That's where it all started. And from there, obviously, the company's grown and evolved and expanded and added new destinations, added more team members. Now, Yeah, well over 200 destinations, 40 plus countries, a phenomenal team here in our headquarters of Bozeman, Montana. We have about 45 team members that work with Yellow Dog, and it's turned into quite a bit larger project than where it started.
Wow, that's absolutely unbelievable. So how do you vet new lodges, new destinations? What's the process you guys go through?
Well, that's a really good question, Mark, and I'm glad you asked that because these days, especially, with everything available in search engines on the internet and a lot of different platforms offering different types of booking services, it's easy to find a site that has a whole menu of different destinations and options, and really it can be a little bit overwhelming. For us at Yellow Dog, first and foremost, we don't sell any destination, lodge, outfitting option unless we know it, unless we've been there, personally vetted it, experienced it. And chances are pretty good that we go there on a very regular basis so we can stay up to speed and current on exactly what these offerings put forth. It's that old adage of you can't sell what you don't know. And if you're just regurgitating information that you've found yourself on the internet, then you're not really bringing much value to the equation as a booking agent. For us, we've been going to these places for years. We know the ins and outs of these destinations. And it's not just about, how do you get there or how much does it cost to fish there for a week? It's the inside information of who should I be fishing with? What are the differences between the guides? What are the seasonal differences? Are there factors like tides that need to be considered? Say you're looking at a saltwater destination. All of these things can really only be known if you've experienced it and you really study it and research it and you know it from firsthand experience. So that's a really big element of our company is we won't sell something that we haven't personally visited, vetted, and something that we don't know. And that extends to our team these days. The way it works at Yellow Dog with so many different destinations in different countries is we have a phenomenal team of program directors and program assistants. And their job is to specialize in one particular country or region and really know that better than anyone in the game. To give you an example, we'll have an individual, Matt is his name. He runs our Belize program these days. He's got a full time program assistant and those two, all they do is focus on our lodges and our offerings in the country of Belize. They know it inside and out, so that when you're calling, you're talking to someone who's not just a travel consultant or a facilitator, but you're talking to someone who's an expert in their particular area, whether it's Belize, South America, the Seychelles, Iceland, New Zealand, you name it. We've got someone that really is at the top of their game and knowing what it is they're selling.
That's awesome. I read your piece in Fly Lab, and I thought it was really fascinating to, the travel list, the gear list, the clothing list, the numerous flights, this, that, rods, weight, line, tippet. It all ends at the fly. That's the final touch point. And I
That's
thought
right.
it was really interesting that you guys know the flies. You get all the way down to the fly. People don't go to some remote place and have gear that's not going to work because you just got info from the
Yeah.
guides 2 days ago of what's new and what's working. Tell me a little bit about that, how you guys do that.
Yeah, that's another great question. I mean, part of the services that we provide have to go above and beyond what people could find on their own, right? I mean, there's a lot of information that's out there on the internet. I mean, you can go to Chat GPT and say, hey, I want to plan a bone fishing trip to the Bahamas. Tell me what I need to know and where I should go. And you're going to get some information. There's a lot of it out there. But when it comes to the intricacies of this sport, which, let's face it, fly fishing at times can be a complicated, intricate sport. It's really nice to have access to that information. We like to say a term that we use all the time is Yellow Dog services are very much like having a backstage pass to the world of fly fishing. You can go to a concert and you can have good seats and enjoy your time there. I mean, you can have front row seats and it'll be an amazing experience. But there's nothing quite like having a backstage pass to really, show you the absolute best of an event, a concert, or in this case, a destination. And that's really what we try to focus on. Providing up-to-date, relevant information is a really key component of what we offer our customers and our clients because this information is changing all the time. And, when it comes to what you just mentioned, Mark, about gear, whether it's terminal tackle, fly patterns, whatever it is, whatever was hot last year or, a few years ago chances are good that's evolved. That's probably changed. And when you're spending your valuable time to go down to one of these destinations, you want to be set up for success. You don't want to be the person sitting at the lodge bar on night 5 saying, "Man, I wish someone would have told me this, or I wish I just would have known. It would have set me up for a higher degree of success or made this more enjoyable." Our job and what we bring to the equation is to make sure you're not that person sitting at the bar saying, "God, I wish someone would have told me." That's exactly what we do when we prepare you to head out to these different destinations.
Jim, I loved your use of the word intricacies, the intricacies of fly fishing to make it a successful outing. How do you see the intricacies of fly fishing overlapping with other aspects of life, such as business, such as relationships, such as problem solving?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It is a complicated sport, right? It's not complicated to go out and enjoy yourself on the water. I mean, that's pretty easy. That's usually kind of low hanging fruit, just being outside or being in a beautiful place. It's going to be, I guess, by any terms, kind of a successful experience most of the time. But when it comes to the act of trying to fool fish with an artificial fly, right? A bunch of chicken feathers and belly button lint tied to a piece of metal. That can be a little bit complicated. Factoring in things again like tides, water conditions, seasonality, all these different elements, that can also be complicated, right? And that's what we mean by being an intricate sport. There's just a lot of things that will help you if you have that information and you've been well prepared from, again, having the right gear and tackle to fishing with the right guide to one of the most important things, I think just having the right expectations when you visit a new destination or experience a fishery for the first time. The more information you have, the more comfortable you feel, and the more set up for success that you are. I think that absolutely correlates to life, to business, to relationships. When you have that kind of information, when you feel comfortable in your knowledge base, when you enter into anything, having the right expectations, things are probably going to be more successful. They're probably going to end better. They're certainly going to be more enjoyable. And so I think, that, that old saying of knowledge is power, that certainly applies to, fly fishing, your travels, your time on the water, and it applies to everything else you deal with on a daily basis in life, certainly in business. I could say that with examples about 50 times a day for sure.
That's awesome. I see the same thing, in our business of, wealth management and financial planning. You need to be always in the game, always ready to adapt. Something is going to change every day, every week, every month, and you need to alter where you're going. But to successfully alter to where you're going, you need to be proficient and expert at a lot of different directions, just like a fly fishing guide.
Yeah, and I think it really matters, Mark, and that's a great example. It's like who you work with, right? Whether it's working with the right booking agent that can really not only respect your time, but help you maximize your time out there. Because let's face it, destination angling, any kind of, exotic or international travel, or even domestic travel done right, there's a price tag that goes with that. So there's that element of the investment that you're making in these types of pastimes or adventures or this type of travel. But even more valuable than what you're spending on an adventure like that, even more valuable is your time. And you don't want it wasted. You really want to maximize it. And I think that's where working with the right people comes into play. And that can be, your booking agent, it can be the fishing guide that you're spending 8, 9, 10 hours a day on the water with. Something, as simple as like your transfer agent in a foreign country. Well, it's kind of important, who's going to meet you, who's going to get you there, how's that going to work? And certainly that correlates to your business. There is real value in who you choose to work with.
Yeah, and Jim, would you agree in your business, as in life, starting from the very beginning of what somebody really is after, what they want, where they've been burned in the past, what have been their best experiences? Are they after monster fish? Are they after a lot of fish? What type of climate do they want? Obviously, you have a gazillion people that call Yellow Dog and say, I want to do a great trip with you. I'm not really sure where or when or what. That's got to be a great discovery process of speaking to people. Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about that? What experience do you want to replicate? How do you guys really understand people.
Well, listen, I think that's crucial. And you bring up a great point there. I mean, to do our job effectively, we have to ask questions and we have to listen. When someone calls up to book a trip, they don't need to talk to someone who said, "Oh, I'm going to stop you right there. Let me tell you how great I am and what an exceptional fisherman and all these cool places I've been." It's just the opposite. I mean, our job is to identify the key ingredients and the expectations that is going to make someone's trip great. And that comes through asking a lot of questions and listening, finding out, as you just kind of touched on, Mark, where have you fished before? What have been some great trips that, you've experienced in the past? What are you looking for out of this trip? Is it about catching lots of fish? Is it about catching, maybe that one big trophy fish? Is it just about time out on the water? Who's going? Is it a family trip? Is it a couples trip? Are you going with some of your angling buddies and you just want great hang time? All of these things need to be factored in, and really that's part of the process. I'll give you an example. Sometimes we'll get a call from someone who says, "I want to go to this lodge. I want to go this week." And, I talked to my buddy and he said that I'm going to catch at least a dozen permit over the course of the week and all the fish are easy. And that's exactly what I want. And we'll listen. We'll say, "Okay, well, interesting. Your buddy told you that. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the realities of this fishery, what it might be like, and what you're looking for out of a trip." Sometimes an individual will come in with the preconceived notion of where they want to go or what's going to be right for them, and then just through the process of talking about what these different destinations or lodges or fisheries have to offer, it may actually end up pivoting to something that is a better fit for them. That's going to probably deliver more of what they're looking for. So that's really, I think, one of the many kind of value added components that we bring to this process is really trying to match up an angler or a traveler with the right destination. We have this, really extensive menu of options when it comes to places you can fish, both international and domestic, saltwater and freshwater. But as a representative for these different destinations, we don't own these places. And the nice thing about that is when someone calls us, I can literally say to someone, "Look, let's establish something right away. I don't care where you go." And people are like, "Oh, geez, what does that mean?" It's like, what it means is I don't have to sell you into a place that we own or we have an exclusive with, or we're obligated to fill X number of beds over the course of the year. The only thing that matters as far as where you go is making sure it's the right place for you. So let's figure that out. Let's identify what that looks like. And let's narrow it down to some options that are going to be a great fit, with the entire goal being, say, day 3 of your trip, you're sitting back in a drift boat or a flat skiff and you think to yourself, "You know what? Those guys sent me to exactly the right place. This is right where I needed to be, and this is the fit." And that's really what we're striving for with each and every trip that we organize and put together for people.
Yeah, that is such artwork as the consultant who really has the ability to understand people and ask the right questions and not sell features and benefits for more or less a proprietary product. The lodge that you own that gives you the most profitability, that people always catch fish, et cetera, et cetera. That's
Yeah.
very I could go into great depth about my background because I started off in a proprietary world. Now we're not proprietary at all. We couldn't be proprietary if we wanted to be, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Very similar to
Yeah.
what you're talking about. It's,
Yeah. There's a lot of options that people have out there when it comes to travel these days, right? And it's gotten trickier, I think. One, because there are more options. And of those options now, everybody's got a glossy website and they're saying the right things and they're showing the right photos and they're all promising that they're the best. And so, the question becomes, how do you cut through the noise? How do you identify who the viable options are and the really quality destinations or experiences are versus those that might have, great advertising material or glossy offerings, but in the end can't really deliver on that. And that's getting harder in this day and age, the information age. There's so much out there. It is nice to be able to talk to people that really know these places. It's nice to be able to cut through that noise. And it's also nice, and we talk about this a lot with our customers, it's nice to have someone who's working on your behalf as your agent, having someone in your corner if something goes wrong. And that happens. I mean, when you go out and you travel the world these days, there are all kinds of things that can be speed bumps along the way that can disrupt, your travel. And it's rarely what you expect. Oftentimes it's, airline delays. It's issues and everything from delays to lost bags to whatever it might be. It can be weather related issues. It can be something that happens to you on the home front, 2 days before you're supposed to depart. Your son, injures himself in a little league game or whatever it is. All of these things happen. It's life, right? And rarely do you expect it. Rarely do you see them coming. But when that does occur, the question is, all right, who can you call? Who's going to help you navigate, these challenges, get things back on track? Who is in your corner? And that's a really big part of the service that we provide.
That's awesome. How does the pricing and the profitability aspect of your business work?
Yeah, we get asked that question all the time. It's like, well, if Yellow Dog is acting on my behalf as my agent, how do you make money? Are there fees that are tacked on? Are there hidden expenses? And the answer is absolutely not. If you book a lodge directly, or you book through a different agent, or you book it through Yellow Dog, it's going to be the same cost, right? We don't add anything onto these package costs. If you were to go to, say, a lodge's website and you'd see their rates published, that's the same rate you're going to pay when you book through Yellow Dog. We make our money in the form of commissions on the back end that the lodges pay us to market on their behalf and to arrange these trips and to send them clients. So there's no tacked on fees. You're not going to pay a dime more to book with Yellow Dog than if you were to book direct. The nice thing about it, however, is let's say you're headed to Bolivia. You find a web page, you're like, this looks good. I'm interested in that trip. They say, great. It's $8,000. Wire the money. We'll see you in a year. Well, okay, that might not be super comfortable for people. And when you work with Yellow Dog, we handle all of that. You know exactly who you're working with. You know who is advocating and looking out for you, and you know who is in effect your agent. And that's what we bring to the equation. And you get all that without having to pay a dime more than if you were to book direct. It's a great service. As we talked about, it's not only being able to tap into that knowledge base and the years of experience and the current relevant information, but it's also having someone that's looking out for you and acting on your behalf if anything were to arise that's problematic. And that's in the current age of international travel, that is a nice thing to have.
That is awesome. Thank you for answering that. That makes it crystal clear. So where would you like Yellow Dog to go in the next 5, 10, 20 years?
That's probably a question I ask myself every morning when I wake up. We're in year 26 since the business was founded. We've grown, I think, as you said at the beginning of the program, to become the largest booking agent in fishing travel. We've also added an extensive retail component as of about 4 years ago to the Yellow Dog offering. So we have a massive fly shop here in Bozeman, Montana. We've got an incredible e-com platform where we have set out and I think fully accomplished the goal of becoming the fly shop for the world of fly fishing. So whether you're fishing here in the Northern Rockies or in your own backyard, or you're getting on an airplane and going halfway across the planet to a new exotic, off the grid fishery, we've got you covered when it comes to equipment, terminal tackle, fly patterns, everything you're going to need to fish these remote places. So, we're thrilled about how Yellow Dog has grown and what we've been able to offer to the industry and specifically to our customers and clients. We really want to be a phenomenal resource for going out and exploring the world, exploring and experiencing these amazing places that fishing takes you. Really the goal for Yellow Dog is to continue to build upon that, continue to evolve and be a great resource for anglers. Whether you're new to the sport and you're just starting out and looking for basic advice on how to get going, or, you're a seasoned veteran traveler whose, big thing in life is chasing crazy species or species in remote parts of the world, that's what we're here for. It's been a phenomenal ride. We've got a great team of people, and bottom line is we love what we do. I get asked all the time, it's like, oh, well, 26 years, what's the end state? What's your exit strategy? And that's hard for me to even wrap my head around because I really like what I do. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm super proud of our team and what we've built up. And my answer to that is like, well, what else am I going to do? Why would I stop doing this? I wake up every morning. I love it. I'm excited about it. And if someone were to come in and say, we want to buy you out and give you a pile of money and you're done tomorrow, I mean, not going to do anything different. This is what I love. So why would I, look to change that up? It's a pretty nice, um, place to be in life, to be excited about what you do, to be passionate about it, and to be lucky enough to work with this amazing team that we have. And, we get to go to some pretty cool places on top of that. So it's a lot of fun.
Gosh, I feel like I could sit here and talk to you for 5 hours and just learn and learn and learn. How about if I ask you just real quick, like, what are a couple of additional locations and lodges that you've added over the last couple of years that you're excited about?
Yeah. I mean, gosh, things are constantly changing in the world of destination angling. Everybody's always looking for what's the next frontier, what's new and exciting. And that's really a kind of a key part of what we offer and what we do as a company. We're always on the lookout for new destinations, for new expansion possibilities, trying to answer the what's next and what's new and exciting. Our team spends a lot of time traveling to these places, and we're always on the hunt for the next thing. And sometimes we go out and find those places. Other times we'll visit a destination. Let's say we go all the way to somewhere in Africa, and we spend 2 weeks kind of exploring and vetting a destination. We come back, we're like, that was an interesting experience, but we don't think we can offer that. Whether it's a safety issue or a logistics issue or whatever it may be, quality of the fishery. But we're always adding new destinations, always on the lookout. And there's so many exciting places out there. I mean, for us, saltwater is a key component. We do a lot in the Indian Ocean, Australia, some of these new and exciting destinations like in the Pacific, some new fisheries, atoll fisheries there. South America continues to really grow and evolve for us. The fishing in Patagonia and some of the jungle fishing in South America is just exceptional. That's great. And I would also say, a lot of the stuff that used to be thought of as exotic, that's a lot closer to home and easier to reach these days, is still exciting and still evolving within their own areas. I mean, our biggest programs, Mark, today are still, places like the Yucatan Peninsula in southern Mexico, the country of Belize, the Bahamas, Alaska, places that just continue to deliver awesome experiences, incredible fishing, and really an infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, lodges, guides, outfitting capabilities that just get better and better every year. So, I think it really boils down to if people are exploring their next trip or starting to research their great destination, comes down to what are you looking for? And again, that's where Yellow Dog comes in. We can work with you to narrow down what's going to be the best fit, whether it's something that's fairly close to home or, might be an easy weekend escape, or it's a expedition that, is halfway across the planet in some off the grid locale that takes a lot to get to. But when you get there, you might be one of the few people that given year that's actually fishing that area. There's so many great options out there, and as I love to say, there's really no wrong answers.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if people are looking for more information, if they want to start the research process or just kind of see what's out there, I would encourage you to visit us online at yellowdogflyfishing.com. It's an incredible resource for everything from, gear and equipment and flies to destination information to researching and planning your next trip. And feel free to give us a call anytime. We've got a great team of people up here that are always happy to spend time talking and answering questions. So we're here and would love the chance to talk with you.
Excellent. Well, thank you for spending time with us today on Smart to Fish Wild. And hopefully you've gained some valuable information and some things have resonated. And thanks again for subscribing to Smart to Fish Wild. Our episodes drop every Tuesday morning, and love for you to join us again. Till next time, get smart so you can fish wild.